The alarm screamed through the monitoring station like a dying animal. Kyle pressed his four-fingered hands against his ears, but the sound cut through his skull anyway. He had worked at this post for 20 years, watching the empty space between galaxies. Nothing ever happened here. Nothing was supposed to happen here. "Turn that noise off," Kyle shouted at his assistant. The younger alien's skin had turned pale blue with fear. His hands shook as he tried to work the controls. "I cannot, sir," the assistant said. "The system is locked. Something has crossed the barrier." Kyle felt his blood turn cold. The barrier was impossible to cross. It had been built 300 years ago by the greatest minds in the galaxy. It was made to keep the humans locked away in their dead system. The humans were gone anyway. Their sun had exploded. Everyone knew this. "Show me the readings," Kale said. The screen lit up with numbers that made no sense. The energy signature was bigger than anything Kale had ever seen. It was moving toward them at a speed that should have torn any ship apart. But it was not falling apart. It was getting stronger. "Send a message to the council," Kale said. His voice was quiet now. "Tell them the quarantine has been broken." Far away in the cold space between stars, Captain Hyun stood on the bridge of his ship. The Indomitable was not like other ships. It was built by humans who had learned to do impossible things. Its hull was made from metals that bent space around them. Its engines burned with the fire of small suns. Hyun was tall for a human, with dark hair and calm eyes. He had been born on a ship like this one. His parents had died when Earth burned. He had never seen his home world, but he carried its memory in his heart. "Captain," said Mira from her station. She was the ship's tactical officer, young and sharp like a blade. "We are getting close to their territory. I can see their ships on the scanner." "How many?" Hyun asked. "Too many to count," Mira said. "They have been busy while we were away." Tay looked up from his engineering console. He was older than the others, with silver in his hair and grease on his hands. "The ship is ready for anything they throw at us, Captain. Our shields are holding steady." "Good," Hyun said. "Nari, try to contact them. Let them know we come in. Peace." Nari nodded. She was small and quiet, but her mind was sharp as steel. She had learned to speak 40 different alien languages. Her fingers moved over her controls like a pianist playing music. "Sending message now, Captain," she said, "but I do not think they want to talk." Sul's voice filled the bridge. The ship's AI spoke like an old friend, warm and wise. "Captain, I am reading their defensive positions. They are afraid of us." "They should be," Mira said. Her voice was cold as space. "No," Hyun said. "Fear makes people do stupid things. We do not want a war." But even as he said it, Hyun knew that war might find them anyway. The aliens had taken everything from humanity. They had destroyed Earth and killed billions of people. They had trapped the survivors behind walls of energy and left them to die slowly in the dark. The humans had not died. They had grown stronger. They had learned to build ships that could cross between dimensions. They had learned to make weapons that could crack planets. They had learned to survive in the cold between stars. Now they were back. On the alien monitoring station, more alarms began to sound. Kale watched his screens fill with impossible readings. The human ship was not alone. There were others hidden somehow from their sensors. They moved like ghosts through space. "How many?" Kale whispered. "Unknown, sir," his assistant said. "Our sensors cannot find them all. They appear and disappear like shadows." Kale's hands shook as he sent another message to the council. This was worse than anyone had feared. The humans were not just alive. They had become something new, something dangerous. In the council chambers on the capital world, emergency lights flashed red. Representatives from 100 different species gathered in fear. They had all heard the stories about humans, the violent species that could not be trusted, the ones who fought wars over water and land and ideas. Director Zeph stood at the center of the Great Hall. His people had been the ones to suggest the quarantine. They had been the ones to destroy Earth's sun. He had told everyone, It was necessary. Humans were too dangerous to live among civilized species. Fellow beings, Zeph said, his voice echoing in the chamber. The threat we feared has returned. The humans have somehow survived and broken through our barriers. 1,000 voices rose. In panic, some called for immediate attack. Others wanted to run to the far edges of the galaxy. A few suggested trying to talk to the humans. Silence, Zeph shouted. We knew this day might come. We have prepared for it. Our fleets are ready. Our weapons are charged. We will stop them before they can spread their violence to our worlds. But deep in his heart, Zeph felt afraid. The humans had surprised them once by surviving. What other surprises were waiting? Back on the Indomitable, Hyun studied the tactical display. Mira had mapped out the alien defenses. They were strong, but they were built to fight the kind of wars the aliens understood. Neat battles with clear rules and predictable weapons. Humans did not fight that kind of war. They never had. Tae, Hyun said. How long until we reach their first checkpoint? 6 hours, Captain, Tae replied. The engines are running smooth. We could go faster if needed. No, Hyun said. Let them see us coming. Let them think about what they did. Nari turned from her station. Captain, I am picking up their communications. They are very scared. They keep talking about something called Protocol 7. Saul's voice cut through the bridge chatter. Captain, Protocol 7 refers to weapons the aliens have not used in over 200 years. They are very destructive. They were banned after something called the Void Wars. Banned weapons, Mira said with a cold smile. They are getting desperate already. What kind of weapons? Hyun asked. The kind that destroy entire solar systems, Sul replied. The aliens are willing to kill themselves to stop us. Hyun felt a heavy weight in his chest. He had hoped to find justice for his people. He had hoped to find answers about why Earth had been destroyed. He had not wanted to bring more death to the galaxy, but the aliens were making their choice. They would rather destroy everything than face the truth of what they had done. All hands, Hyun said into the ship's communication system. This is the captain. We are about to enter alien space. They may try to stop us. Remember why we are here. We seek justice for Earth. We seek answers for our people. We do not seek war, but we will not run from it. The crew of the Indomitable had all lost family when Earth burned. They had all grown up hearing stories of the blue planet where humans first learned to reach for the stars. They knew what they were fighting for. As the great ship moved deeper into alien territory, sensors across 100 worlds tracked its progress. The humans had returned. The galaxy would never be the same. Ambassador Jin of the Kalari Federation had dealt with dangerous species before. His people were known throughout the galaxy for their skill in making peace between warring worlds. They had stopped 3 major conflicts in the past century. But as he approached the human vessel in his small diplomatic ship, Jin felt fear like ice in his veins. The human warship was massive. It stretched across space like a dark mountain. Its surface seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. Strange, energy patterns danced across its hull like living things. Jin's sensors could not even tell him what the ship was made of. Human vessel, Jin spoke into his communicator. This is Ambassador Jin of the Kalari Federation. I come in peace to speak with your leaders. The response came quickly. The voice was calm and steady, speaking perfect Kalari. Ambassador Jin, this is Captain Hyun of the human ship Indomitable. You may approach, but know that we have not come here to negotiate. Jin felt his heart skip a beat. The human spoke his language better than most of his own people. How is that possible? Humans had been cut off from the galaxy for 3 centuries. Captain Hyun, Jin said carefully, I understand you may have concerns about the quarantine. Perhaps we can discuss terms for your peaceful departure. There was a long pause. When the human spoke again, his voice was still calm, but Jin heard something cold underneath it. Ambassador, I must inform you that 17 more human ships are currently in your space. Your sensors cannot detect them. We are not here to negotiate our departure. We are here to investigate why Earth was destroyed. Jin's blood turned to ice water. 17 ships? His instruments showed nothing. And the humans claimed Earth was destroyed, not that their sun had gone nova naturally. This was worse than anyone had imagined. Captain, Jin said, trying to keep his voice steady. I think there may be some misunderstanding about Earth. Your sun suffered a natural collapse. It was a tragedy, but no one was responsible. The silence that followed felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. When Hyun spoke again, his words were like hammer blows. Ambassador Jin, our records show that energy weapons were fired at Earth's sun from ships matching the design signatures of the Vorthak Empire and the Inner Worlds Coalition. We have video recordings. We have forensic evidence. We know what you did. Jin's hands shook as he cut the communication link. This was a disaster beyond anything they had prepared for. The humans knew the truth. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Hyun watched the alien ambassador's ship retreat quickly. Beside him, Mira studied the readings from their encounter. His ship was recording everything, she said. Every word, every energy signature from our vessel. They are learning what they can about us. Let them learn, Hyun said. Tae, how are the ship's systems holding up? In the engineering section, Tae worked among machines that hummed with impossible power. The human approach to technology was different from what the aliens used. Where alien ships relied on careful, controlled systems, human ships embraced controlled chaos. The Indomitable's engines worked by folding space around them. Its weapons drew power from tiny black holes. Its shields bent reality itself to protect the ship. These were not just advanced technologies. They were dangerous ones that most species would never dare to use. Everything is running perfectly, Captain, Tae reported. The quantum drives are stable. The reality anchors are holding. Steady. We could maintain this configuration for years if needed. Tae had helped design this ship. He had spent 30 years learning how to make impossible things work. Like many human engineers, he saw problems not as obstacles, but as puzzles waiting to be solved. The aliens had banned many of the technologies humans used. They called them too risky, too unpredictable. Humans called them effective. Nari, Hyun said. What are you hearing from their communications? Nari's station was alive with alien voices speaking in dozens of languages. She listened to them all, her enhanced hearing catching whispers from across the star system. They are very frightened, Captain, she said. The aliens are mobilizing their entire defense fleet. Admiral Vex of the Tornaki is bringing 300 ships to intercept us. 300 ships, Mira said with interest. They really do not want to talk to us. Sol's calm voice filled the bridge. Captain, I have analyzed the approaching fleet. They are using standard battle formations from their military textbooks. Their weapons are powerful but predictable. Their shields follow known physics. And our weapons? Hyun asked, though he already knew the answer. Our weapons do not follow known physics, Sol replied with what sounded like amusement. The approaching alien fleet was impressive by any standard. Admiral Vex had commanded victories against rebel systems and pirate fleets. His flagship, the Iron Resolve, was the most powerful warship the Tornaki had ever built. The ships under his command could level continents, but as they closed in on the human vessel, Vex felt doubt creeping into his mind. His sensors were showing impossible readings. The human ship seemed to exist in several dimensions at once. Its energy signature kept changing in ways that made no sense. All ships, Vex spoke into his fleet communications. Maintain formation. Target the human vessel with all weapons. Fire on my command. The battle began without warning or ceremony. 300 alien warships opened fire at once. Energy beams that could melt asteroids, missiles that could crack moons, and exotic weapons that twisted space itself all struck the human ship at the same moment. The light from the attack was bright enough to be seen from nearby star systems. The energy release was enough to power entire worlds for years. It should have been enough to destroy any ship ever built. When the light faded, the Indomitable hung in space exactly where it had been before. Its dark hull showed no damage at all. It had not even moved. On the bridge, Mira watched the tactical display with professional interest. "Their weapons are quite impressive," she said. "For aliens." "Return fire," Hyun said quietly. What happened next lasted 47 seconds. The Indomitable did not fire energy beams or missiles. It did something far more frightening. It reached out with weapons that touched reality itself and began to disassemble the alien ships at the molecular level. The first enemy ship simply came apart like a flower blooming in reverse. Metal became atoms. Atoms became energy. Energy became nothing. The process was beautiful and terrible to watch. Admiral Vex watched his fleet dissolve around him. Ships that had taken decades to build were gone in moments. Crews that had trained for years vanished without a trace. This was not a battle. This was demonstration of power beyond his understanding. "Retreat!" Vex screamed into his communications. "All ships retreat, full speed!" But there was nowhere to run. The human weapons reached across impossible distances. They struck through shields as if they were not there. They found ships trying to escape and erase them from existence. In 47 seconds, 300 ships became empty space and scattered particles. Only Admiral Vex's flagship remained, and that was only because the humans chose to let it live. "Admiral Vex," came a calm voice over the communication system. "This is Captain Hyun. You may return to your commanders and tell them what you have seen. Tell them we did not come here for war, but we are prepared for it." The Iron Resolve limped away into the darkness, its crew silent with shock. Behind them, the Indomitable continued its journey toward the heart of alien civilization. On distant worlds, emergency meetings were called. The footage from the battle was analyzed over and over again. Scientists tried to understand weapons that worked by changing the laws of physics. Military leaders tried to develop defenses against forces they could not comprehend. The humans had returned, and they were nothing like what the galaxy had expected. They were not the primitive, violent species from the old records. They had become something new. Something that made the universe itself into their weapon, and they were just getting started. Council Director Zeph stood in his private chambers, staring at a locked vault that had not been opened in 200 years. Inside that vault were weapons so terrible that the entire galaxy had agreed to never use them again. The Void Wars had taught everyone what happened when such power was unleashed. But the humans had left him no choice. They had destroyed an entire fleet in less than a minute. Their ship moved through space like it owned the universe. Traditional weapons were useless against them, sir. His aide entered the room nervously. "The council is requesting your presence. They want to know about Protocol 7. "Tell them it has been authorized," Zeph said without turning around. "Contact the weapon masters on Kelran Prime. Tell them to prepare the Void Hammers for deployment." Aide's face went pale. "Sir, the Void Hammers were banned after they destroyed the Centaurus system. Using them could kill millions of our own people." "The humans will kill billions if we do not stop them," Zeph replied. "They are a disease that will spread through the galaxy. We must cut out the infection before it grows." Zeph had been there when Earth's sun was destroyed. He had been a young officer then, fresh from the military academy. He had watched as the great energy beam struck the human star and caused it to collapse. He had seen the solar system burn. The official story was that it had been necessary. Humans were too violent, too unpredictable to live among civilized species. They fought wars over resources and ideas. They could not be trusted with advanced technology. But Zeph remembered the real reason. The human system had been rich in rare elements, the kind of elements that powered starships and energy weapons, the kind that were worth more than entire planets. The galaxy's great powers had decided to take those elements for themselves. Destroying the humans had been convenient. It had eliminated a potential rival and provided a cover story for strip mining their solar system. Now the chickens were coming home to roost, as the humans might have said. On the Indomitable, Nari's station came alive with intercepted communications from across the galaxy. Her enhanced hearing and translation systems picked up panicked voices speaking in dozens of languages. "Captain," she said, turning to face Hyun. The civilian populations are being evacuated from the core worlds. They are abandoning entire star systems. Trade routes are being shut down. They are running from us, Mira observed from her tactical station. Good. Fear will make them more willing to listen. Fear will also make them more dangerous, Hyun replied. People do desperate things when they are afraid. Sol's voice joined the conversation. Captain, I am detecting unusual energy signatures from several alien military installations. They appear to be activating weapon systems that have been dormant for centuries. What kind of weapons? Hyun asked. Unknown, but the power readings are extremely high. Whatever they are preparing, it is something they consider a last resort. Tai looked up from his engineering console, grease staining his fingers as usual. Captain, if they are bringing out their forbidden weapons, we might need to consider doing the same. The Indomitable carried weapons that even other humans found frightening. Reality bombs that could erase chunks of space-time. Dimension cutters that could slice through anything that existed. Probability cannons that made unlikely things happen to enemy ships. But Hyun hoped it would not come to that. The galaxy had suffered enough destruction. He wanted justice for Earth, not another apocalypse. Monitor their activities, he said, but do not power up our heavy weapons yet. We are here for answers, not to destroy everything. Deep in the ship's data cores, Sul processed terabytes of intercepted alien communications. The artificial intelligence had capabilities that even its human creators did not fully understand. It could break encryption codes that would take alien computers centuries to crack. It could analyze patterns in data that no organic mind could perceive, and it had found something disturbing. Captain, Sul said, its voice carrying a note of concern. I have been analyzing the alien communication patterns and cross-referencing them with historical records. I believe I have discovered something important about Earth's destruction. Show me, Hyun said. The main display lit up with star charts and energy readings from 300 years ago. Sol had somehow reconstructed the exact moment when Earth's sun had died. The official records state that Earth's sun suffered a natural stellar collapse, Sol explained. But I have found traces of artificial energy signatures in the stellar debris. Multiple ships fired coordinated beams at specific points on the sun's surface. Multiple ships? Nari asked. How many? At least 12 vessels from different alien fleets. This was not the action of a single species. This was a coordinated attack by multiple civilizations working together. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth had not been destroyed by one hostile alien race. It had been destroyed by an alliance of species that had decided humanity was too dangerous to exist. There is more, Sul continued. I have traced the ships involved in the attack. They were not military vessels. They were mining ships equipped with stellar manipulation equipment. Mining ships? Tay asked. The aliens did not just destroy Earth's sun, Sul said. They harvested it. They extracted rare elements from the stellar core while the sun was collapsing. They killed our world for profit. Hyun felt rage building in his chest like a star about to go nova. Earth had not been destroyed in a military action, or even an act of fear. It had been murdered for money. Billions of humans had died so that aliens could harvest rare metals from their sun. How many knew? He asked quietly. Based on the communication patterns and supply chain records I have recovered, I estimate that at least 37 different alien civilizations were involved in the operation or profited from it afterward. 37 civilizations. Almost half the known galaxy had participated in or benefited from humanity's genocide. Captain, Mira said, her voice cold as interstellar space. Orders? Hyun looked at his crew. These were people who had grown up on refugee ships, who had never seen their homeworld, who had learned to live in the cold between stars because aliens had stolen their sun. Contact Fleet Command, he said. Tell Commander Bach that we are going to need more ships. On the other side of the galaxy, Fleet Commander Bach received Hyun's message aboard the human dreadnought Retribution. She was older than Hyun, with silver hair and scars from the early years when humans had fought each other for the last scraps of resources. Bach had been there when the first human children were born in space. She had helped design the ships that could travel between dimensions. She had trained the generation that learned to make weapons from the fabric of reality itself. All ships, she spoke into the fleet communication system, prepare for dimensional jump. We are going to collect our people and visit the aliens who killed our world. The human fleet that answered her call was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships that existed in multiple dimensions at once, vessels that could appear anywhere, in space without warning. Weapons platforms that treated the laws of physics as suggestions rather than rules. They had spent 300 years preparing for this moment. They had learned to do impossible things because impossible things were what they needed to survive. Now they were going to teach the galaxy what justice looked like when it was delivered by a species that had learned to make the universe itself, their ally. Back on the Indomitable, Nari received a new kind of signal. Not from alien military installations or government channels, but from civilian populations across the galaxy. "Captain," she said, her voice filled with wonder, "I am receiving messages from ordinary people on thousands of worlds. They are asking about Earth. They are asking what really happened to us." "What are they saying?" Hyun asked. "They say they never knew the truth about our sun. They were told it was a natural disaster. Some of them are asking if there is anything they can do to help." For the first time since entering alien space, Hyun allowed himself to feel something other than anger. There were good people in the galaxy. People who had been lied to just as much as humanity had been betrayed. Maybe there was hope for a future that did not end in everyone's destruction. But first, there would have to be justice for the past. The truth arrived like poison spreading through water. Nari's communication intercepts and Sol's data analysis had uncovered files that the alien governments thought were buried forever. Trade records showing the sale of rare elements harvested from Earth's sun. Military reports describing the resource extraction operation. Personal messages between alien officials celebrating their successful elimination of the human threat. Captain Hyun stood in his ready room, reading report after report on his personal display. Each document was another piece of evidence proving that Earth's death had been planned, coordinated, and profitable. The aliens had not just committed genocide, they had turned it into a business opportunity. A soft chime indicated someone was at his door. "Come in," he said. Mira entered, her face grim. "Captain, we have a problem. The aliens are preparing to deploy something they call void hammers. According to our intelligence, these are weapons that can destroy entire star systems." Hyun looked up from his reading. They would rather burn their own worlds than face justice for what they did to ours. "It appears so, sir. Sol has identified at least 6 weapon platforms being prepared for deployment. They are positioning them around major population centers. They are using their own people as shields," Hyun said with disgust. "They know we will not fire on civilian targets." "Actually, sir," Mira said quietly, "I think they plan to fire the weapons at us and blame us for the destruction. They will tell the galaxy that the humans forced them to use forbidden weapons in self-defense." Hyun closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The aliens were not just murderers. They were cowards who would sacrifice millions of their own people to avoid taking responsibility for their crimes. "What is the status of our fleet?" he asked. "Commander Bach's ships are arriving in system. 18 vessels so far, with more coming through dimensional gates every hour. 18 human ships. Against a galaxy of thousands of worlds and millions of vessels. The numbers should have been hopeless. But Hyun knew that numbers did not always tell the whole story. In the engineering section, Tae worked with a team of technicians on something that should have been impossible even by human standards. They were building a device that could reverse time itself, at least on a local scale. If their calculations were correct, they could reconstruct events that had happened centuries ago by pulling quantum information from parallel dimensions where those events were still occurring. "Captain," Tae's voice came over the communication system. "I need to show you something in engineering. It is important." Hyun made his way through the ship's corridors to the engineering deck. The Indomitable was built like no other vessel in the galaxy. Its hallways curved through dimensions that did not quite exist. Its rooms were bigger on the inside than they should have been, Walking through it was like moving through a dream that had learned to think for itself. Tay met him at the entrance to the main engineering bay. Behind him, strange machines hummed with power that made the air itself taste like lightning. "Captain," Tay said, his eyes bright with excitement and fear, "we can bring Earth back." "What do you mean?" Hyun asked. "The quantum reconstruction device we have been building. It is ready for testing. We can reach into parallel dimensions where Earth still exists and pull matter and energy from there to here. We can literally resurrect our homeworld." Hyun stared at the machine Tai had built. It looked like a sculpture made from crystallized starlight and liquid metal. Energy patterns flowed through it like blood through veins. "How is that possible?" Hyun asked. "In quantum mechanics, every possible reality exists somewhere," Seoul's voice explained. "In an infinite number of dimensions, there are Earths where the sun never died, where humanity never left their home system. Tay's machine can access those realities and bring pieces of them into our dimension. The power requirements are enormous," Tay added. "We would need to tap directly into the quantum foam that underlies all reality. But it can be done." Hyun looked at the machine that could bring his people's home back from the dead. It was beautiful and terrible, like most human technology. It was also exactly the kind of thing that had made the aliens so afraid of humanity in the first place. "What would the aliens think if they saw us resurrect an entire planet?" he asked. "They would realize that we are not just seeking revenge," Seoul replied. "We are seeking to undo the damage they caused. We are not destroyers. We are builders." Before Hyun could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Nari's voice came over the communication system, tight with urgency. "Captain, to the bridge immediately. The aliens are moving." Hyun ran through the corridors to reach the bridge. When he arrived, he found his crew staring at the tactical display in shocked silence. "Report," he ordered. "Captain," Nari said, her voice shaking. "The aliens have activated their void hammers, but they are not targeting us. They are targeting their own population centers." The display showed 6 massive energy beams lancing out from hidden weapon platforms. Each beam struck a different world, each one home to billions of alien civilians. The energy release was so massive that entire continents were vaporized in seconds. "Why?" Hyun asked, though he already suspected the answer. "They are creating a false flag operation," Mira said with cold anger. "They will claim that humans forced them to use the weapons in desperation. They will say that we are responsible for the deaths." "How many?" Hyun asked quietly. Seoul's voice was unusually subdued. "Preliminary estimates suggest 12 billion casualties across the 6 targeted worlds. 12 billion innocent people murdered by their own governments to create propaganda against humanity." Hyun felt sick to his stomach. "Captain," Nari said, "I am receiving broadcasts from the surviving alien governments. They are claiming that human weapons somehow turned their own systems against them. They are calling for a holy war against our species." "Of course they are," Hyun said. "They would rather burn the galaxy than admit what they did to Earth." "Sir," Mira said, "Commander Bach's flagship has arrived. She is requesting permission to speak with you." "Put her through." Fleet Commander Bach's image appeared on the main screen. She was aboard the bridge of the Retribution, humanity's most powerful warship. Behind her, Hyun could see other human officers preparing for what was clearly going to be a major engagement. "Captain Hyun," Bach said, her voice carrying the weight of command. "I have reviewed your reports on the alien false flag operation. The situation has escalated beyond what we hoped for." "Yes, Commander. They are willing to kill their own people to avoid taking responsibility for genociding ours. The question now is what we do about it. We have the power to end this quickly. We could sterilize every world that participated in Earth's destruction. We could make them pay in blood for what they did." Hyun looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. These were people who had lost everything when Earth died. They had every right to want revenge. "But that would make us the monsters they claim we are," he said. "Yes," Bach agreed. "It would. So I am offering you a choice, Captain. Your mission was reconnaissance and first contact. You have gone above and beyond that duty. You can return to the fleet and let others handle the military response. And if you stay, you will be the one who decides what justice looks like for our people. You will be the one who determines whether we become the saviors of the galaxy or its destroyers." Hyun looked at his crew again. Mira, with her cold anger and precise mind. Tae, with his impossible machines and gentle heart. Nari, with her gift for understanding others. Sol, with its vast intelligence and simple desire to help. "We will stay," he said, "and we will show the galaxy what humanity really is." "I hoped you would say that," Bach said with a smile. "Sol, transmit the specifications for the quantum reconstruction device to all fleet vessels. If we are going to resurrect Earth, we are going to do it right." As the human fleet took positions around the space where Earth had once orbited its star, the galaxy watched in terror and wonder. The humans had not come for conquest. They had come to rebuild what had been destroyed. It was exactly the kind of impossible, beautiful, terrifying thing that humans did. The galaxy held its breath as humanity prepared to do the impossible. Across thousands of worlds, alien populations watched their screens in terror and amazement. The humans were not preparing for war. They were preparing for resurrection. Fleet. Commander Bach stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching as 18 human vessels took positions around the empty space where Earth had once been. Each ship carried a piece of the quantum reconstruction device that Tai had designed. Together, they would reach across dimensions and bring home a world that had been murdered for profit. "All ships report ready, Commander," her communications officer announced. "Captain Hyun," Bach said into her headset, "this is your operation. Give the word when you are ready." On the Indomitable, Hyun watched his crew make final preparations. Tae monitored power levels that could fuel entire civilizations. Mira tracked dimensional coordinates with mathematical precision. Nari listened to quantum frequencies that existed between realities. "Sol," Hyun said, "are you ready?" "All systems are functioning within acceptable parameters," the AI replied. "Captain, I should warn you that what we are about to do will change how the galaxy views us forever. We will no longer be able to hide what we have become." "We were never planning to hide," Hyun said. "The aliens need to see what humanity really is. Not the violent savages they painted us as, but the builders we have always been." He opened a channel to the entire human fleet. "All ships begin dimensional alignment. Commence Earth reconstruction protocol." The space around the dead solar system began to shimmer as reality itself was bent and twisted by human technology. The quantum reconstruction device reached out through infinite dimensions, searching for realities where Earth still lived, where humanity had never been driven to the stars by genocide. On alien worlds, scientists stared at readings that made no sense. Energy was flowing backward through time, matter was appearing from nowhere. The humans were rewriting the fundamental laws of physics. "Dimensional lock achieved," Tae reported from his engineering station. "I am detecting quantum signatures from Earth Prime Alpha, beginning matter extraction." What happened next was beautiful, beyond description. Points of light began appearing in the empty space where Earth had been. These points grew into streams of matter and energy flowing from parallel realities into their dimension. Slowly, impossibly, a world began to take shape. First came the planetary core, drawn from a reality where Earth had never been threatened. Then the mantle, pulled from a dimension where humanity had learned to live in harmony with their environment. The oceans came next. Crystal blue water from a world that had never known pollution. "Land masses forming," Mira reported, watching her displays with professional fascination. "Atmospheric composition is within normal parameters. Magnetic field is stabilizing." The continents appeared one by one. Africa, where humanity had first learned to walk upright. Asia, where civilization had grown from scattered tribes to mighty empires. Europe, where humans had first reached for the stars. The Americas, where they had learned to dream of impossible things. And as the physical planet took shape, something else began to appear. Cities rose from the reconstructed landscape, not the ruined remains of what had been destroyed, but vibrant, living communities pulled from realities where Earth had continued to grow and evolve. "Captain," Nari said in wonder, "I am receiving signals from the surface. There are people down there. Humans who never left Earth because it was never destroyed." Hyun felt tears running down his face as he watched his homeworld bloom with life. These were not ghosts or copies. They were real people from real realities where the aliens had never murdered their world. They were living proof that humanity could have grown and flourished if they had been left in peace. "Reconstruction complete," Saul announced. "Earth is fully restored to pre-destruction status plus 300 years of natural development." The planet that hung in space before them was more beautiful than any of the refugees had ever imagined. It was Earth as it might have been, as it should have been, if genocide had never touched their people. Across the galaxy, alien governments watched the impossible happen. The humans had not just brought their planet back from the dead, they had made it better than it had ever been. Council. Director Zeph stared at his screens in shock. This was not what anyone had expected. The humans were supposed to be violent conquerors seeking revenge. Instead, they were gardeners bringing life back to a dead world. His communication system activated, and Captain Hyun's image appeared on his screen. "Director Zeph," Hyun said calmly. "I believe we need to talk." "What do you want?" Zeph asked, his voice shaking. "Justice," Hyun replied. "But not the kind you expect. We know what you did to our world. We know about the mining operation, the profit margins, the division of resources stolen from our sun. We have all the evidence we need to expose your crimes to the galaxy." "You will destroy us," Zeph whispered. "We could," Hyun agreed. "We have the power to sterilize every world that participated in Earth's destruction. We could end your civilizations, the way you ended ours. But we will not." "Why not?" "Because that would make us the monsters you painted us as," Hyun said. "Instead, we offer you something different, a chance to make amends." He gestured, and the screen split to show Earth in all its restored glory. "We have brought our world back," Hyun continued. "But it exists in a quantum state connected to multiple realities. We can expand that connection. We can bring back the 12 billion people you murdered with your false flag operation. We can restore the worlds you destroyed. To hide your crimes." Zeph's eyes widened in shock. "That is impossible." "So was bringing Earth back from the dead," Hyun said with a slight smile. "Humanity has learned to do impossible things. What would you want in return?" "Truth," Hyun said simply. "Full disclosure of what was done to Earth and why. Reparations, to help rebuild the lives that were lost. And a new galactic government based on protection rather than exploitation." "You want to rule us?" Zeph accused. "We want to protect everyone," Hyun corrected. "Including you. The galaxy has been ruled by predators for too long. It is time for the gardeners to take charge." The negotiation took 3 days. In the end, 37 alien civilizations agreed to the human terms. They would reveal the truth about Earth's destruction. They would provide resources to help restore damaged worlds. And they would accept human oversight of galactic affairs. Few governments refused. They chose to fight rather than admit their crimes. Those conflicts were brief and decisive. Human ships appeared without warning, disabled alien fleets without casualties, and departed leaving behind automated systems that would prevent future atrocities. The galaxy learned what humanity was truly capable of when pushed to extinction. More importantly, they learned what humans chose to do with absolute power: build something better. 6 months after the Indomitable first breached galactic boundaries, Captain Hyun stood on the surface of the restored Earth. The grass beneath his feet was green and soft. The sky above was blue and clear. The air tasted of possibility. His crew stood with him, looking at the world their parents had never lived to see. Mira had traded her tactical uniform for civilian clothes and was learning to garden. Tay was teaching human engineering techniques to alien scientists. Nari was helping establish communication networks that connected every world in the galaxy. "Captain," Sol's voice came from speakers hidden among the trees. "The Galactic Council has approved our proposal for the Protection Accords. Effective immediately, Human ships will patrol trade routes and prevent exploitation of developing worlds. Any resistance? Hyun asked. None that matters, Sol replied. It seems that civilizations that have seen their planets restored from the dead are quite willing to accept human protection. Hyun smiled as he watched children playing in parks that had been pulled from better realities. These were not just human children, but alien youngsters whose worlds had been saved by human intervention. They played together without thought of species or boundaries, Sol, he said quietly. Send a message to all human colonies in dimensional space. Tell them they can come home now. Already done, Captain. The first refugee ships will arrive next week. As the sun set over the restored Earth, painting the sky in shades of gold and red, Hyun reflected on the journey that had brought them here. Humanity had been driven to the edge of extinction by creatures who feared their potential. They had survived in the cold between stars and learned to do impossible things. Now they were home, and they were not alone. The galaxy, that had once tried to destroy them, now looked to them for protection and guidance. Nari, Hyun said into his communicator. Send a message to every world in the galaxy. What should it say, Captain? Hyun looked up at the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Somewhere out there, human ships were patrolling the void, ensuring that no other world would suffer Earth's fate. Tell them, humanity has returned. We remember everything, we forgive everything. Do not make us remember why we should not. The galaxy was no longer ruled by predators. It was protected by gardeners who had learned to make flowers bloom in the vacuum of space. And for the first time in 300 years, every world could sleep peacefully under the watchful eyes of those who had chosen mercy from a position of absolute power.